Do you want a piece of this convenience store action? Because if you do, this is a pretty good month to sign up. For January's International Snack Pack, I've assembled some of the most incredible Japanese snacks of all time. Subscribers for this month will receive bakeable butter cookie flavored Kit Kats, among other things. So if you want to learn more, I got a link to that snack pack in the description box, and now it's time for your regularly scheduled program. What's up, everybody? It's time for a convenience store noodle tour in Tokyo, Japan. Welcome to Japan, home of some mighty fine convenience stores. These places have some pretty high quality foods, so let's go inside and give it a go. Now, as soon as I walked into that place, I locked onto the noodle aisle like a carb-seeking missile. And here we got some pork and kimchi instant noodles, which is okay, but I wanted to see what other options they had. Then lo and behold, I looked up and what did I see? I saw some curry udon noodles. And to be completely truthful with you, I felt like those noodles were looking nice. In fact, come to think of it, I thought those noodles were looking real nice. So I calmly and coolly placed those instant noodles into my cart. Now don't hold it against me, but I was feeling pretty hungry and I thought that one pack wouldn't be enough, so I started checking out some other noodle packs. Over here we got some spicy meat instant ramen, and over there we got some sweet deep fried tofu instant udon. Those looked pretty tempting, but what's this? We got some miso butter ramen? You know, I'm a pretty big fan of miso and I'm a pretty big fan of butter, but I've never had them together. Could this noodle pack have life-changing potential? Let's put it inside my cart and find out. So now that I've got myself an instant udon and an instant ramen, why stop at that? I might as well get myself an instant soba. And whoa, what's this? Here's a pack of Okonomiyaki-flavored Yakisoba, but that's not all. We got a ninja at the top. Not only is he screaming mayo at the top of his lungs, but he's also shooting mayo out of his hands. I never saw that one before, it must be new, so I slammed it into my cart. Now after getting all those packs of noodles, I felt like I needed a little bit of variety in my carb intake. Can you blame me? So I'm diversifying my carb intake into the wonderful world of potato snacks, and what's this? Shrimp and tartar sauce potato sticks. It seems to me like these snacks are getting pretty buck wild up in here. And check these potato chips out, they're flavored after aged beef. That meat's not only looking succulent, but it's also looking a tad sensual, so I decided to put that into my cart. Then I made my purchase and sprinted on back to my apartment. And as soon as I got back, you best believe I reached for that curry udon, reason being because I'm worth it. So apparently the standard operating procedure for these puppies is to not take off the whole lid, but to take it off halfway. Next step, you gotta remove those flavor packs. Now here's where it gets a tad tricky. I think the next step is you have to empty those flavor packs into the bowl, but I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I could have just spent 5 seconds reading the instructions, but I don't have that kind of time. I'm a busy guy. In other words, I'm gonna freestyle this mofo, so I got some water piping hot, then I got ready to pour it into that puppy. So let me pour that water and whoa, hold the phone. What the hell's going on with this pot? I had perfect pouring technique, yet water still managed to fly out all over the place. That pot's kinda cramping my style over here. Nevertheless, I'm gonna try to move on with my life. I refuse to have a defective pot hold me down. In fact, I refuse for even a nanosecond to let that pot rent space in my mind. I'm moving on to bigger and better things, baby. A little thing I like to call curry udon. Now, I'm not much of a philosophical man, but at the mere sight of that curry udon, I felt like that bowl was greater than the sum of its parts. It seemed like it had an essential essence that defied scientific characterization, but hey, what do I know? Anyway, I started mixing that puppy together and I was getting in the mood and feeling the motherfucking groove. So I lifted some noodles up and let them cool off for a nanosecond, then I furiously jammed them into my mouth. And whoa, the precise millionth of a nanosecond that I bit into those noodles, I was kinda surprised. The broth covering those noodles had some nice curry flavors popping off, but the actual noodles themselves had a strange texture. I mean, usually udon is a little bit firm and a little bit supple, but these were a tad on the spongy side. I guess you could say my tongue was a tad confused by that delish hearty broth contrasted with that bizarre noodle situation. In other words, I think they were worthy of 3 out of 5 dogs. I mean, don't get me wrong, the bowl was good. I just found those noodles to be a tad suboptimal, that's all I'm trying to say. Anyway, I moved on to the next exciting phase of my life, a little something called Miso butter ramen. So I opened up that bad boy and wow, just wow, check out that dried corn action. Also, I gotta say, props on the lack of flavor packs. Here I don't have to waste unnecessary time taking out those ingredients, they're already mixed in. That's pretty time efficient. Anyway, let's pour that water out and whoa. I'm cooking half my coffee table just to get that water to the damn fill line. I suspect that after today, this pot will be out of a job. So I put my plate on top to keep that hot air in, then I let it sit for a few minutes, then came back and oh, man. Look at that corn, look at that butter. I mean, I've seen dehydrated vegetables inside these things before, but butter? That's pretty buck wild. Anyway, I started stirring that thing up to get those flavors all nice and evenly distributed like. Then I grabbed myself a huge-ass wad of ramen, looked at it for but a moment, then slammed it into my mouth. Now, you might have thought with that space-age butter and miso that this would be a life-changing meal, and if you thought that, you'd unfortunately be wrong. You'd be dead wrong. The truth of the matter is, this ramen was tasting simplistic to the max and basic as fuck. It just wasn't very flavorful, that's all I'm trying to say. So with all that said, I think I'm gonna have to give it a 2 out of 5 dogs. I mean, that miso flavor was kinda weak, and so was the butter. There should have been more butter. There should be enough butter that I can taste it within the very depths of my soul, but in this case, this ramen missed the mark. So next up, I figured I'd take a break from the noodle carbs and get myself some potato-based carbs. And take a look at that meat, it's looking so damn good I practically want to eat the package over here. So I opened up that package, poured out the chips, and I gotta say, they're looking pretty decent. I mean, they look as good as you could expect from a chip. It's kinda hard to judge a chip by its cover. The only way to get to know a chip is really to get it deep inside, so I figured I'd take myself a bite. Now at first I thought the flavor of those chips was a little bit subtle, but after I cleansed my palate, I changed my mind. Those chips actually did taste pretty meaty, and it was kinda hard to stop eating them. But even considering that, I think I'm gonna have to give them a 3 out of 5 dogs. I mean, at the end of the day, a chip is just a chip, and it'd have to be a pretty damn incredible chip to make it up to a 5, that's all I'm trying to say. So after that, I had one more item left, just one more. Here we got some Okonomiyaki-flavored Yakisoba, and as if that wasn't buck wild enough, it's made by the UFO company, and it's got some ninjas on the package. We got one ninja spreading seaweed around, and we got another one shooting mayo out of his hand. Shit's getting crazy around here. So with all that crazy-ass artwork popping off, I started ripping into that package with a wild sense of anticipation. Next up, I opened that lid and I saw that there were 3 distinct flavor packs inside. First up, we got the mayo pack. Next up, we got the seaweed and dried fish pack. And perhaps most important of all, we have the yakisoba sauce pack. And now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Just gotta bring some hydration to my noodles and oh, man. Nice fucking pouring skills right there. So after finishing that perfect pour, I waited for 5 minutes and then it was time for something completely different. Believe it or not, this space-age soba pack actually comes with its own drainage device built in. So I drained that water out, and I gotta say it was oddly satisfying, borderline arousing in fact. Next up, I started examining those newly drained noodles all up close and personal like. There's even some cabbage at the bottom, that's pretty buck wild. Anyway, it's time for that sauce action, baby cakes. So I opened up that sauce pack and started pouring out that puppy, and I gotta say it was surprisingly dark. There were some more stubborn parts of the sauce pack that were sitting at the bottom, so I had to use my chopstick to get that out. Next, I vigorously stirred that sauce into the noodles, and the end result was simply incredible. That's some buck wild noodle action right there, and I'm getting pretty excited for the next step. So I opened up the seaweed and fish flake pack. And right about now, you might be thinking, fish flakes aren't your style. Well, don't knock them till you try them, sweet cheeks. That seaweed and fish flake combo is a serious flavor enhancer. And last but not least, it's time for the mayo, which might as well be the cherry on top for okonomiyaki. I mean, I never used to consider myself to be a big mayo man, but in Japan I changed my tune. For some foods here, it's kind of a necessity of life. Anyway, let's check out that finished product, and wow, just wow, look at that Okonomiyaki-flavored Yakisoba. Call me crazy, but I think that's looking like a work of art. It's almost looking too good to eat, but I bought it and now I gotta consume it, baby. So I grabbed a little yakisoba, but it was all tangled up and ended up grabbing a huge-ass wad in the process. And then I slammed it toward my head and bit down, and oh my dogs. Is this actually for real right now? These noodles are off the motherfucking chain, baby cakes. I was about to say that I was feeling off-nar, aka aroused for no apparent reason, but actually I have a reason. I have a real good reason. This soba is tasting so good that I think it might be the best instant noodles I've ever had. That okonomiyaki sauce made those noodles taste a little bit sweet, a little bit salty, and a little bit tangy. Add to that creamy Japanese mayo flavor, which makes it taste pretty damn incredible, if not a tad unhealthy. Long story short, this right here is most definitely worthy of a 5 out of 5 dogs. In fact, it was tasting so damn good that at the last minute I decided to retool my January International Snack Pack just to make sure to include it. Oh, that's right, you heard me correctly, baby. If you join the International Snack Pack for January, you will receive these incredible yakisoba. I got a link to more details in the description box. So thanks again for watching this buck wild convenience store noodle tour. Why don't you leave a comment? Let me know what you think.